What is up, everybody? It's Rob from Sage Tower Games, and we're here with the latest announcement from Fantasy Flight Games involving Marvel Champions. They have announced the third campaign expansion for the game, and it is the Mad Titan Shadow, which only means one thing: Thanos has arrived. Or is coming, at least. So, let's see. We're going to go through this a bit, talk about the cards that we see, and kind of see what's going on. So, contains a brand new campaign against 5 scenarios, pitting you against the Zealous Black Order, Ebony Maw, Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, and the Mad Titan. Always to mix it up, and it's also with the Mighty Champion. So we have Adam, Warlock, and Spectrum will be the 2 new heroes in the game. Interesting. So let's see, the Black Order. In his mad quest for the Infinity Stones, Thanos sends his subordinates to every corner. The first enemy is Ebony Maw. So let's look at Ebony Maw. Stage 1, so 2 scheme, 1 attack. Whenever he activates against you, remove an invocation counter from each spell card in your play area. And he's got 14 hit points per, so he's at 28. For stage 1 is pretty good, actually. And his attack on nowhere. I'm guessing this is his main scheme. Each player discards cards until the top of the encounter, like until a spell environment is discarded. Put it into play, and then it automatically adds the cards back. We have back to a +1 scheme. What spells do we have? Fireball, Surge, enters play with 4 invocation counters on it. When the last counter is removed, deals 4 damage to your identity. Not to heroes, so just 4 damage the minute it pops. Pacification. 3. After the last encounter is removed, exhaust each upgrade you control and your stun. And he's got Abjuration, prevents all damage to Ebony Maw. After he prevents 2 or more damage. So this is interesting. They made it so that you couldn't just ting it off with 1 damage. Like a tough, even like the Collector's one, for instance, has a similar thing where the Collectors can get hit off from 1. You have to add at least 2 to it. And Restrained, which attached to the friendly character with the highest attack and exhausted. You must spend, so it just forces you to spend 2 resources. So it looks like, based on the spells, the Ebony Maw is going to be pretty much having a lot of spells are going to be set out. And then once these spells come into play, they slowly either activates against you, or, with depending on what other abilities he may have or cards in his deck, may actually remove the counters off these cards until they hit, and then everything's going to go bad. So I feel like the spells are going to be a bit of an interesting scenario where you may get 2 or 3 spells all going off at the same time on you. The next one is Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive. So let's see. 1, 2, 9 health, so 18 for 2 players, 8, 16, so very weak creatures. But let's see what happens. When Proxima Midnight attacks you, choose to either deal 1 damage to the Avenger's Tower, or Proxima Midnight gets +2 attack. So what's happened here? After damage is placed here, if there's at least 9 per player, remove all of it. Then, so I'm assuming it says tower defense, so I'm guessing that it looks like you don't want this to flip. Bad things will happen if it flips. So either she attacks, she does 1 damage, or she gets a 4 attack. And then Corvus Glaive makes an undefended attack. Discard the top after he makes an undefended attack. Sorry. Discard the top card of the encounter deck. Deal 1 damage to the tower for each boost icon. So, another way for them to do damage to the tower. These two commanders work together in their shared scenario. Each of them placing... Oh, look at here. Each of them placing threat on their own main scheme while drawing from the same villain deck. Which means they'll have 2 different main schemes as well as the tower to deal with, but they're all coming from the same deck. Focus defense. The villain who matches the attack scheme is the active villain. After the player phase ends, attach this card to the other main scheme. So it's a permanent. I'm guessing it gets set out during play. Say it's on somebody. Say it's on Proxima at the beginning. After the player phase ends, it flips over to Corvus. Now he's the main for the activation and the next player turn. And then the next time around, it switches over to Proxima, then she activates. So they won't both... It'd be kind of like Wrecking Crew in a way, where one activates versus the other. And this is what I'm a bit confused about. Cannot be defeated while Corvus Glaive has any hit points remaining. Okay, so now that I read... Well, when I glanced at it before, but now that I actually read it, that means that... has any hit points remaining. So my question is, if they have like 5 hit points left and they get hit with like an 8 damage attack, do they go down to 0 and then they see that the other person still has hit points and don't die? Or do they go down to 1 and wait till the other person has 0 hit points? Or do they just don't take anything because they check and see that it doesn't match the defeated thing, because it's 8 damage in 1. So when they say at the same time, like, does it have to be an AoE that takes them both out, or does it have to be like in the same turn? So I'm curious on the rules clarification for that. That's gonna be... It sounds like a fun scenario, like balancing between the two of them. Sounds more fun than Black Maw. Oh, sorry, Ebony Maw. He sounds like he might be a pain. And then Thanos. Good old Thanos. Come on. There you go. So, 1 scheme, 2 attack. Nothing crazy on stage 1. But this is where it gets crazy. Stalwart. He cannot be stunned or confused. Full stop. Not on an attachment. Like, I know Drang has an attachment. Nebula has an attachment. I don't know if Ronan does, maybe. But Thanos has it on his actual villain card. Which means you can never stun or confuse Thanos. Ever. That gets rid of so many cards. Webbed Up, Pheromones, Never Back Down. I mean, the list just goes on and on. His response: after the Infinity Stone deck runs out, give Thanos 1 face down boost card. Okay. It's going to take everything you have to stop the Mad Titan and his plan to balance the scales. 2A. Each player shuffles the discard pile into their deck. Each player removes the top half of their deck, rounded down, from the game. He literally Thanos snaps you in Marvel Champions. just full on, and half your deck is gone from the game. So let's think. Standard 40 card deck. Let's say, well, Thanos is the last one, so let's say 44 because you probably have upgrades throughout the campaign. So say 5 cards in your hand. And say another, let's just say 5 cards out in play, let's just say. So 34 cards would be in your deck, 17 of them are gone. That's almost half your deck is just gone in one shot. And this is on the flip. So you gotta, if this scheme flips to 2B, you gotta do 2B with half your deck gone. And unless there's a way to go back in time, that means that you're gonna lose. The RNG could just auto lose you. Say all your damage cards get sucked up in the snap. That's it. That's a big one. The infinite power. So we have all the different stones here. This special 7-card encounter set can be added to almost any, so you can actually add the Infinity Stones to any set you want. The only scenarios that can't use are the ones with multiple villains or no villain in play at the start of the game. So multiple villains can mean like Wrecking Crew, can mean like Corvus and Proxima. What does no villain mean? What does that mean? Is there going to be a scenario where there's not an actual quote-unquote main villain? I don't think there's any other one that doesn't have a villain at the start of the game. But that's an interesting thing that they included in there, and I'm very curious to see what that means. So let's look. Infinity Gauntlet. It's a permanent setup, +1 to everything. Okay. When the villain activates, resolve the ability of each Infinity Stone in play. Otherwise, put the top card of the Infinity Stone deck into play. So every other... It's weird. So I feel like... So I feel like every other turn a stone will be used. Is what it sounds like. Or after he activates though. So wait a minute. So that means if there's 2-player activation, because I usually use 2 players. Player 1 gets activated on, there's no stones, he pulls in a stone. Player 2 gets hit by the stone. Next way around, player 2 checks there's no stone, player 1 gets hit by the stone. So every turn someone's getting hit by one of the stones. And let's see what we have. The Mind Stone. You are confused. If you are already confused, discard 1 card at random from your hand. Place this card in the Infinity Stone deck. I mean, it's okay. I guess it's not terrible. I guess it's a 1 on 6 chance of being confused. Space Stone. Discard cards from top of the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion into play, engage with you. This could be fun on like Drang. Could you imagine Drang's like Infinity Stone, a Space Stone, so like using a Space Stone to pull one of his minions into play? I think we can also see some of them here. Let's see. Reality Stone looks to say something like discard an ally, upgrade, I'm assuming it says, or support your control. So that gets rid of a card. It looks to be Power Stone, looks to be you are stunned. If you are already stunned, I'm assuming same thing like the Mind Stone. Discard one card from your hand. And then it looks, Time Stone looks to be discard the top 4 cards of, I'm assuming, your deck. Place threat on the main scheme for each different resource. I'm assuming that's what it says. And the Soul Stone, I don't really care. It says something about cost. That's all I know. So what do we have then? We have one that confuses, one that stuns, one that pulls a minion in, one that discards an upgrade card from your field. The Time Stone that will add threat, and the Soul Stone does, I don't know what that does. Now what I'm curious about is like the Reality Stone, or even the Space Stone. And that one says it. If you don't have an LA upgrade or support, the Reality Stone doesn't do anything. So. But I'm a bit confused on why they have boost icons on them. Because they won't flip over ever, so what's the point? Now remember, this is all separate of the actual main deck that's going on. So you have the main deck going on, and then you have the Infinity Stones being used at the same time. Alright, let's look at some heroes. Adam Warlock, otherwise known as Adam Warlock. Now it's interesting because Adam Warlock, they added him in as a leadership ally in the Star-Lord pack, and now only a few packs later he's already a main character. So let's see what we have. 3 recovery, 11 hit points, 6 hand size. During deck building, your deck must include an equal number of cards from all 4 aspects. You cannot include more than 1 copy of any non-Adam Warlock card. Oh, so you can only have single copy of cards. Wait a minute. So say he's a regular hero. So 15 signature cards. That's 25 cards for the rest. So like 5, 5, 5, 5 puts you at 35. Then you have 5 spaces left for your basics. So 5 basics, 5 of every different one. That's gonna be an interesting deck building, because you can only have 1 copy of each, and it's gonna make for some crazy like combos you can pull off, like even worse than Spider-Woman. So I don't know how that's gonna work. His ability though is insane. Discard a card from your hand, remove a status card from Adam Warlock, so he can get rid of any status he wants from himself. So he's stunned, confused, he's good. I like his battle. Now flip him over. 1-1-2. Not the greatest stat line, to be honest, but he's a mystic and a guardian, so all the guardian cards work for him. Mystic, so you can include probably a copy of, so your basics will probably be energy, genius, strength, sorcerer supreme, and spiritual meditation. Probably. And he had similar ability to what he does in his leadership ally one, where he discards a card random from your hand, and based on what it is, does something. Here, you discard a card, depending on what aspect it is, it does something. So, deal 2 damage, remove 2 threat, heal 1 damage, give a hero +1 to all their stats. Once per phase. So once per phase is interesting. Because that means he could do it, in theory, in the hero player phase and in the villain phase. And do potentially 4 damage, 4 threat, 2 heals. Or even stack up leadership and do 2 plus to all the stats. That's gonna be like a lot of like levels of deck building. You already have Spider-Woman who has 2 aspects, and that's kind of an interesting way to build. This one plus his ability. So let's see what kind of card does he have. Living Tribunal. Action. Shuffle this card into the counter deck without looking. Remove 2 threat from the main scheme and remove this card from the game. This effect cannot be cancelled. The article makes it sound like it's a really good card. But am I missing something? Because this doesn't look that good. It's 2 for 2. If you can figure out eventually. I mean, it can't be cancelled. So I don't understand, like, that doesn't really mean it's good. I feel it's like a 2 for 4, like a 4 justice that's like camping in the deck. I don't see the appeal to this card at all. Shield Spell. Play only if it then has the Mystic trait. So we have Scarlet Witch, the Doctor Strange, and that Adam Warlock. When you would take any amount of damage from an attack, discard that many cards from the top of your deck. Grant all damage on this attack. Max. I don't know if that's good either. Like, if you think about it, if you're on Doctor Strange, yeah, you can soak up like a massive hit. So like a Rhino Charge, a Bulldozer Stampede, anything like that. You can absorb all the damage. But you're losing probably like 5-6 cards on top of your deck to do it. I mean, I guess it's good for that, like, a good, like, survive, like, anything. I think Shield Spell has more use than Living Tribunal. That's for sure. This card, I don't know what... It looks creepy, first off. It just looks creepy. And then this... I mean, I guess it's not a hero action, so that's something, but, like... And it's a one-off. Weird. Warlock's Cape. After you resolve Adam Warlock's Battle Mage ability, exhaust the cape to ready. Does he have to exhaust for this? No. So you can use his ability, which, but I don't know, because his stats kind of suck to be used. Like, I don't really know what I'm going to be exhausting him for to ready him for. This one's better. After you resolve Adam Warlock's Battle Mage ability, draw 1 card. That's better, because then I can pretty much discard a card, draw a card. And yeah, I guess it does mean you can ready your hero. What else do we have? Karmic Blast. Deal 4 damage to an enemy and discard up to 4 cards from the top of your deck. Deal 1 additional damage for each different aspect. So you can go 2 for 8 if you discard all 4 types. Otherwise, you're probably looking at 2 for 6 maybe. It's a superpower. So that's a spell. I was seeing how many of his cards might be like Death Focus-able. If you need a, I'm getting to Soul World. Don't worry. Trigger Quantum Magic. Choose a card in your discard pile. Add that card to your hand. So for 2 costs, the card and the resource, you can pull any card from your discard pile into your hand. Genius? That's not really worth it. Yeah, you would have to pull a specific card you wanted. Soul World. After your deck runs out of cards, place 1 soul counter here. Alter Ego action. Exhaust Soul World. Remove 1 soul counter. Heal all damage from your identity. So this card is really good. That's an interesting ability. Because that means that he's okay losing cards to like Shield Spell, to Karmic Blast, those kind of cards. Because he wants to go through his deck. Because if he goes through his deck, he can get a soul counter and then he just has to flip down and fully heal automatically. And here's the greatest thing. It just exhausts. It doesn't go away. Meaning you can do it again. And there's no actual max. So if there's some world where you double exhaust through your deck, you could have 2 counters and have 2 full heals like back to back. That's a good card. And aspect cards like Zone of Silence. Play only if anything has the mythic trait. So again, Strange, Scarlet Witch, and Warlock. Choose a scheme and discard up to 4 cards from the top of your deck. Remove 1 threat for each card discarded this way. So it's a cool art, by the way. It's kind of that's a pretty cool art style. And 1 for potentially 2 to 4. Okay. I mean, it's okay. It's kind of a bit spiky, but you figure you probably have a Rambeau deck and kind of in place. Summoning Spell. See, this one I like. 2, max 1 per deck. Discard cards on top of your deck until you do discard an ally. Put that ally into play under your control. I would play this in like a leadership Strange, like a leadership Scarlet Witch, where you don't have all like the Warlock nonsense. Just imagine you have like 8-9 allies. It's 2 to play a free ally. Imagine if you have like all like high cost allies. You know? That's just, you just save. I mean, yeah, you lose cards, but that's a good spell. Let's look at Monica Rambeau. So, Monica, we saw obviously from WandaVision. She kind of in the MCU. We kind of start to see her a bit, but as a one-time leader of the Avengers comes into, let's see. So 3 recovery, 6, 11. Put all 3 energy form upgrades into play, face down. Then after you change, turn all your energy form upgrades face down. Her flip side is 1 across the board. After you change to the form, choose a face down energy form upgrade and flip it face up. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Gamma. So Gamma is +2 attack, and she does 1 damage when she changes to this form. Photon, so believe is kind of the one she got from WandaVision. +2 thwart. Actually, I guess all 3 actually she got. And Pulsar +2 defense. Okay. So what this means is every time she flips up, one of her stats becomes a 3. And then when she flips down, she kind of stays. So I guess my question is, do you flip back and forth constantly? We'll see how that works. Can use extra. Let's see, what can she do? Energy duplication. It's an upgrade. Exhausted to generate the printed resource on your face-up energy card. So it's a free resource, but it'll be specifically tied to whatever, which I'm assuming Gamma's probably strength, Photon was thwart, so I'm assuming mental, yeah. And Pulsar was energy. So that's not bad. When Spectrum defends, change to Pulsar energy form and ready Spectrum. If you were already in Pulsar energy form, she gains Retaliate 1. So Pulsar was the defense one. Now my question is, and I gotta see the timing of this, is if I'm so say I'm not in Pulsar, I defend. I play this. I change to Pulsar and I'm ready. Do I still have to exhaust to defend, or does my 3 defense count at that point? How does that work? Questions. I do like, side note, I like the black and white, like on the cards. That's a really cool color scheme for the cards themselves. Really cool. And then Speed of Light. Change energy forms and draw 1 card. That's good. I was hoping there would be some sort of card. I'm guessing there's probably a few copies of them. But you can change and draw a card just to quickly flip between the 2 of them. And she comes with leadership. So let's see what we got. A White Tiger. Ava Ayala. 3. 2 threat, 2 attack, 2. I'm sad she doesn't have the 3 thwart she does in Red Skull. After you play White Tiger from your hand, draw X cards to a maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain's stage number. If the villain has no stage number, draw 1 card. That's actually a really... for one, I like the fact they added the last sentence, because a lot of the cards that we have now don't have that. So when you face someone like Collector, someone like Wrecking Crew, I'm trying to think if the Green Goblin ones have stage numbers in all of them. It's a bit confusing because they don't actually have a stage number. So what number do you use? But it means that if you're in stage 3, she pretty much comes up for free. Stage 2, she only costs you 1. And you draw cards. That's pretty good. That's actually like... That... I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. I think White Tiger might be the Maria Hill killer. I feel like that she may take Maria Hill's spot. She's got a better stat line, 222 across the board. Actually, I don't know. Maybe not. Because White Tiger is just for you, whereas Maria does it for everybody. but you can draw a lot more. So it depends on how selfish you want to play. Still awesome card. And Kalu. 2 cost 1/1/2. After Kalu enters play, search the top 5 cards off your deck for an event added to your hand. Not bad. He's an Avenger and a Mystic. Good combination. Now, I'm not as excited for him as I was White Tiger. I can tell you that right now. Mighty Avengers. Play under any player's control. Max 1 team card per player. Now that is interesting. 1 team card. We haven't seen team cards before, so if there's an Avenger card, that could be a Guardian team card. If each of your characters has the Avenger trait, each ally you control gets +1 thwart and +1 attack. Oh, wow. You could play an Avenger leadership deck for real. You play Mighty Avengers and like team training and like all the other ones. You can really just make a super good Avenger ally deck. Power Man, okay. 3 cost 1/0/3, but he has a double consequential on his attack. Enters play with 2 cheat counters on him. Discard any number of cheat counters. He gets +2 attack for each cheat counter. That's horrible. Like, they're making him sound like he's this amazing character. You know? So he swings for 4 once, and then he's useless at that point? Or he can swing for 2 twice? Once everyone's attack is good and boosted, unleash with a mass attack. Exhaust 3 allies you control that share a trait with you. Deal X damage to an enemy where X is the total attack of those allies and your hero. Okay. That's a team up card if I've ever seen one. So let's see. Combined with Mighty Avengers, Power Man's ability, Spectrum's Gamma form, and I'm assuming they mean these as well. So let's just see. So that'll be a 3 attack, a 2 attack, that's 5. Power Man would be at a 4 + 1, 5. That's 10, and then Spectrum would be a 3. It's a 13. Okay, so I see what that means. It's a 3 for 13, basically, at that point. But here's my downside with Power Man. Actually, no, it says exhaust, right? I just want to make sure that I'm not going crazy. Yeah, exhaust. The problem I have with Power Man doing this is he loses it then. So you would have to like sky cycle him to get him ready so he can then go again and actually attack with the 4 damage. But that's good. I like that they're making like ways to make these fancy combos. With Thanos and the Black Order looming on the horizon, so look forward to tackling the campaign when it releases in August. Ooh, so let's see, June is what? So June is Drax, July is Venom, and August is Thanos. And then we get 4 subsequent hero packs. But there you have it, guys. The Mad Titan Shadow is here. That was a deep dive. Took longer than I thought it was going to be. I think I expected the Thanos campaign to be the 4th box. I thought maybe they might make some other one in between and lead up to a Thanos pack. Now, the issue I have with this one is, as many of you know, we have Rise of the Red Skull, which was pretty easy. We have Galaxy's Most Wanted, which is a bit overtuned the other way, and it's a bit tough. Where does Thanos fall? Now it's Thanos. Ronan, technically in the MCU at least, I don't know if it's canon in the comics, I'm assuming it probably is, worked for Thanos. So in theory, Thanos should be tougher than Ronan. But Ronan and this box is already pretty tough. How unfair do you make it? That's the question. Looking at these cards, it looks like that Ebony Maw might look to be an interesting one, where the RNG might get you in terms of, you know, you have 2 or 3 spells out and they just all blow up at the same time. I think the Proxima and Corvus Glaive fight sounds fun. Thanos, I'm curious to what his actual Thanos deck is like. The Infinity Stones are going to be interesting because it means one comes out every turn. So every 6 turns, he'll get an extra boost card. And I'm assuming the gauntlet can't come off him either. So that means that even at stage 1, he's a 2/3 with a stone and stalwart and whatever else is in his deck. So that sounds good. But I'm hyped for it. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And we're all ready, excited to play some more Marvel Champions. Thank you guys for watching.